You are standing in line at a hardware store on a Saturday morning. The guy ahead of you is wearing a faded college t-shirt, cargo shorts, and sneakers that have clearly seen better days. He is buying a replacement filter for his air conditioner. Nothing about him suggests money. Nothing about him turns heads. And then you notice he pays with a black card, picks up his bag, and walks out to a 10-year-old pickup truck in the parking lot. Meanwhile, the guy behind you is wearing designer sunglasses indoors, checking his phone in a brand new leather case, and complaining to someone on a call about how expensive everything is getting. Here is the twist most people never figure out. The guy in the faded t-shirt could probably buy the entire store and turn it into a parking lot without checking his bank account. And the guy dripping in labels behind you probably cannot cover an unexpected $2,000 expense without pulling out a credit card. The reality is that true wealth and visible wealth are almost never the same thing. And once you learn to spot the difference, you start noticing it everywhere. My name is Kay. I spend an unreasonable amount of time studying how money actually works, and today I want to walk you through 7 signs that someone around you is quietly, almost invisibly rich. Number 1. They will agonize over a $15 purchase, but drop $15,000 without flinching. This one confuses people every single time, but it is one of the most reliable tells you will ever learn. You will watch someone spend 20 minutes comparing phone chargers online, reading reviews, checking 3 different stores for the best price on a $15 cable. And then the next week their roof starts leaking, and they call a contractor, approve a $15,000 repair, and move on with their day like nothing happened. That is not being cheap. That is a completely different operating system for money. Here is how the wealthy brain processes spending. That phone charger is a want. It is a commodity. There are 40 options that all do the same thing, and the difference between the $12 one and the $20 one is basically marketing. The wealthy person is not agonizing because they cannot afford it. They are agonizing because they have trained themselves to extract maximum value from every discretionary dollar. They know that these tiny optimizations compound over time into something enormous. Smart Sam needs a new phone charger. He spends 10 minutes finding a well-reviewed one for $12. He also needs his furnace serviced before winter. The technician quotes him $800 for a full tune-up and part replacement. Smart Sam approves it on the spot because a furnace failure in January could mean burst pipes, water damage, and a repair bill 10 times that size. Broke Brian sees the same furnace quote and thinks, I will deal with it later. But then he drops $120 on a premium phone case because it matches his new wallpaper. He is optimizing for feelings. Smart Sam is optimizing for outcomes. The distinction comes down to wants versus needs and understanding where each dollar creates or destroys value. When it comes to wants, wealthy people are ruthless comparison shoppers because they understand that paying full price for a commodity is just lazy. But when it comes to genuine needs, especially ones that protect larger assets, they do not hesitate. A leaking roof is not an expense. It is asset protection. A broken furnace is not a bill. It is a financial time bomb. Delaying it does not save money. It multiplies the eventual cost. And here is the part that trips everyone up. This behavior looks irrational from the outside. Your coworker drives a Honda, brings lunch from home every day, and uses the same laptop bag from 6 years ago. Then one Saturday, you find out they paid cash for their kitchen renovation. The numbers do not add up to you because you are measuring wealth by the wrong scoreboard. You are looking at what people spend on. Wealthy people are looking at what spending accomplishes. Once you start seeing spending through that lens, almost every purchase decision becomes clearer. And people who think this way do not look rich. They look careful, which is exactly the point. Number 2, they spend money on things you will never see. This might be the most revealing sign on this entire list. Truly wealthy people are not buying gold toilet seats or diamond-encrusted anything. They are buying something far more valuable, and it is completely invisible to everyone outside their household. They are buying time. Time is the only resource on earth that you cannot manufacture more of. You can earn more money. You can build more things. You can grow more food, but you cannot add a single hour to your day. Wealthy people understand this at a level that most people never reach, and they are willing to pay premium prices to get hours back. This might look like hiring someone to handle grocery shopping and meal preparation 3 nights a week. That is roughly 8 to 10 hours a month freed up. It might look like a cleaning service, a landscaper, a personal assistant who manages scheduling and errands. These are not luxury purchases. They are time trades. And the math behind them is devastatingly logical. Let us say Smart Sam earns the equivalent of $75 an hour through his work and investments. He hires a house cleaner for $30 an hour, 4 hours a week. That is $120 a week to free up 4 hours that he redirects into a side business, generating $200 in that same time. He is not spending $120. He is netting $80 and getting a clean house. Broke Brian, meanwhile, spends his entire Saturday doing yard work, cleaning, grocery shopping, and cooking. He posts about his productive weekend on social media. But what he actually did was trade 8 hours of his life doing tasks that someone else could have handled for a fraction of what his time is actually worth. He feels productive. Smart Sam is actually productive. There is a canyon between those two things. And here is the key detail. You will never know about these expenditures unless you spend serious time inside a wealthy person's home. They are not posting about their meal prep service on social media. There is no Instagram story about the new housekeeper. These purchases are invisible to the outside world by design. While everyone else is signaling status through visible consumption, the quietly wealthy are spending on convenience, efficiency, and hours they get to use however they want. Broke Brian spends $2,000 on a designer jacket that everyone can see. Smart Sam spends $2,000 a month on services that nobody can see. Brian gets compliments for a week. Sam gets back 40 hours a month for the rest of his life. Number 3, they have mastered the ability to wait. While everyone else is clicking buy now the second they feel a spark of desire, quietly wealthy people wait. They will sit with a major purchase decision for weeks, sometimes months. They will research it, compare options, walk away from it entirely, and then circle back later to see if they still want it. And frequently, they decide they do not. This is not because they cannot afford to buy it immediately. It is because they have figured out something that most consumers never learn. Almost every purchase you make is an emotional decision wearing a logical disguise. That new laptop feels like a need because your current one is 2 years old. That kitchen gadget feels essential because you saw it demonstrated on a cooking channel. That jacket feels like a smart investment because it is 40% off. But none of those feelings are facts. They are impulses dressed up as reasons. By waiting, wealthy people run a simple test. If you still want something 30 days after the initial impulse, it might actually be worth buying. If you forgot about it within a week, your brain was just bored and looking for a dopamine hit. This one habit alone saves the average household thousands of dollars a year, not by saying no to everything, but by forcing the emotional brain to check in with the rational brain before any money changes hands. Smart Sam sees a premium ergonomic office chair for $1,200. He bookmarks it. 3 weeks later, he checks the price again. It has dropped to $950 during a seasonal sale. He buys it and uses it every day for 7 years. Total cost per year of use, roughly $135. Broke Brian sees the same chair, buys it immediately at full price because he deserves it, uses it for 11 months, then spots a newer model and starts the cycle again. He has now spent $2,400 on office chairs in less than 2 years. And this patience extends way beyond shopping. Wealthy people are willing to wait years for the right investment opportunity. They will pass on a dozen deals that look good on paper because the math does not quite work. They will hold cash when everyone around them is panic buying stocks. They will delay starting a business until they have the right conditions, the right market, and the right team. This is not indecision. It is discipline. And the irony is that this habit usually develops long before people become wealthy. The same patience that helps someone wait for a better deal on a phone charger is the same patience that helps them contribute to an index fund for 20 years without touching it. It starts small and compounds into everything. Number 4. They never talk about 3 specific things. This is one of the most consistent patterns you will find across people with real money, and it is so subtle that most people miss it entirely. Pay attention to what the wealthy refuse to discuss, and you will learn more about their mindset than anything they actually say. They avoid 3 topics at all costs: how much they earn, what their expensive purchases cost, and anything that suggests they live in excess. This is not accidental. It is a deliberate communication strategy, and it reveals everything about how they think about money and social dynamics. The first one is earnings. Ask someone with real wealth what they make, and you will get the most elegant deflection you have ever heard. We have been fortunate. Things are going well. Cannot complain. These are not humble answers. They are strategic ones designed to end the conversation before it goes anywhere useful. A person with $10 million in investments does not feel compelled to tell the cashier at the grocery store how much they earned last quarter. They have moved beyond needing external validation because they already have something worth more than bragging rights. They have actual security. The second one is even more revealing. Wealthy people almost never talk about how much their purchases cost. When someone constantly volunteers the price of their car, their vacation, their watch, they are usually trying to extract maximum social value from every dollar they spent. They stretch their budget to afford something, and now they need to squeeze every drop of status out of that purchase to justify the financial pain it caused. But someone who can easily afford expensive things has no reason to broadcast the price tag. They bought it because they wanted it, not because they needed an audience to validate the decision. The third one is about excess. The quietly wealthy go out of their way to avoid any appearance of living beyond what is reasonable. Not because they cannot afford more, but because they understand something most people miss. True luxury is not about accumulating the most flashy possessions. It is about having options. Having the freedom to walk away from a job you hate. Having the ability to take 6 months off and travel without worrying about how to pay rent when you get back. Having enough in the bank that a $4,000 car repair is an inconvenience, not a crisis. Smart Sam drives a nice car. Not flashy, not falling apart, just nice. He never mentions what he paid for it. If someone asks, he says, "It gets me where I need to go." He is not being coy. He just does not see his car as a status symbol worth discussing. Broke Brian, on the other hand, brings up his monthly car payment in at least 2 conversations a week. He knows the sticker price, the interest rate, the trade-in value, and what the salesman said about it being the last one on the lot. He spent more on the story than the car. Number 5. They drive older cars that have been paid off for years. While half the neighborhood is leasing something new every 3 years and pretending it is a smart financial move, the quietly wealthy are rolling around in 5 to 10-year-old vehicles that look absolutely unremarkable. No special rims, no custom paint, no vanity plates. Just a clean, reliable, boring car that they own outright. And the math behind this decision is devastating. Cars lose value faster than almost any other major purchase. A brand new vehicle loses roughly 20 to 30% of its value the moment you drive it off the lot. Within 5 years, most cars have lost around 60% of their original price. Within 7 years, that number climbs to about 70%. So when someone finances a brand new $40,000 car, they are essentially paying $40,000 for something that will be worth about $16,000 in 5 years and $12,000 in 7. If you are finding this helpful, hit subscribe. I cover money psychology and financial behavior like this every week, so you can spot the patterns most people miss. Now let us look at what happens when you take that same money and redirect it. The average new car payment in America right now is somewhere around $700 a month. If Smart Sam drives a paid-off car and invests that $700 every month into a diversified portfolio earning 8% annually, after 10 years he has about $128,000. That is not a typo. $128,000 from money that broke Brian is lighting on fire every single month to drive something that impresses strangers at traffic lights for about 4 seconds. But here is the really clever part. Wealthy people understand depreciation curves. They know that a car loses the bulk of its value in the first 5 to 7 years, and after that, the depreciation curve flattens out dramatically. A 10-year-old Honda with 80,000 miles on it is not worth dramatically less than the same Honda with 60,000 miles. But a 1-year-old Honda is worth dramatically less than a brand new one. So by purchasing a vehicle that has already absorbed the steepest part of its depreciation, they are getting 90% of the functionality at a fraction of the financial hit. They see cars as tools for getting from point A to point B, not as extensions of their personality, not as social signals, and definitely not as emotional purchases. Just tools. And the money they save by treating transportation as a utility instead of a lifestyle statement is quietly compounding somewhere that actually matters. Number 6. They live in houses that would surprise you. Here is a pattern that catches almost everyone off guard. The wealthiest person on a given street is rarely living in the biggest house. In fact, they are often in one of the more modest homes in the neighborhood. Not because they are being cheap, and not because they cannot afford more, but because they understand something about housing that most people learn too late. When you buy the biggest house you can qualify for, you are not just taking on a mortgage. You are signing up for an entire lifestyle that requires constant financial output just to sustain itself. That bigger house needs more furniture to fill the rooms, more maintenance to keep everything working, higher utility bills to heat and cool all that extra space, probably a landscaper because the yard is too big to manage yourself. Insurance costs go up, property taxes go up, and suddenly you are spending money every month on things you never even wanted, just to keep up with the size of the building you live in. The quietly wealthy understand that your home should serve your life, not consume it. When housing eats up 40% or more of your income, you have zero flexibility. Every month becomes about covering that one massive payment, and there is no room left for anything else. There is no room for unexpected opportunities, no room for financial emergencies, and definitely no room for the kind of aggressive investing that actually builds generational wealth. But when you live below your means on housing, something interesting happens. You create breathing room. Financial breathing room that lets you say yes to a business opportunity when it shows up. That lets you survive a job loss without panic. That lets you invest aggressively during a market downturn when everyone else is selling in fear. Smart Sam earns $150,000 a year. He could qualify for a $600,000 home. Instead, he bought a $350,000 house in a solid neighborhood with good schools. His mortgage payment is manageable. He has money left over every month to invest, travel, and build a safety net that would make most people jealous. He could upgrade. He chooses not to. Broke Brian earns $120,000 a year and bought a $500,000 house because the bank said he could. His mortgage, property taxes, insurance, and maintenance consume nearly half his take-home pay. He has a beautiful kitchen he never uses because he is too stressed about money to enjoy cooking. His house looks impressive from the outside, but his investment account is almost empty. He is house rich and everything else poor. Let us say Smart Sam takes the extra $1,000 a month he saves by choosing the smaller house and puts it into investments earning 8%. After 15 years, that money grows to about $346,000. After 20 years, it is nearly $590,000. Broke Brian's bigger house might appreciate in value too, but he will never access that equity without selling or taking on more debt. Smart Sam's investments are liquid, flexible, and growing. That is the difference between a house that serves your wealth and a house that replaces it. Number 7. They have made themselves impossible to spot. This is the one that ties everything together, and it is the most psychologically fascinating sign on this entire list. The wealthiest people in any room have made a deliberate, conscious choice to become invisible. Not because they are shy, not because they lack confidence, but because they have figured out something that most people never consider. When you broadcast your success, you are painting a target on yourself that you cannot unpaint. If everyone knows you have money, suddenly the entire social landscape around you shifts. Family members start approaching you with financial emergencies that always seem to require exactly the amount they think you can spare. Friends treat you differently, either with quiet resentment or with expectations that you will always pick up the check. Business acquaintances start pitching you on deals that are suspiciously good. People you barely know start asking for loans that both of you understand will never be repaid. But it goes deeper than social awkwardness. When you advertise wealth, you become a prime candidate for lawsuits, scams, and targeted theft. This is not paranoia. This is pattern recognition. Wealthy people have watched lottery winners go bankrupt within 5 years. They have seen athletes blow through hundreds of millions of dollars because everyone around them knew exactly how much they had. They have watched friends get taken advantage of by business partners who smelled money. And they have decided that the social cost of visibility far outweighs any benefit. I once read about a man worth well over $50 million who deliberately drove a 12-year-old sedan, wore clothes from department stores, and lived in a nice but thoroughly unremarkable house. When someone asked him why, he said something that stuck with me. He said, "Real security does not come from showing people what you have. Real security comes from nobody knowing what you have in the first place." He was not performing humility. He was not being eccentric. He was executing a strategy that most people would never even consider. Smart Sam has a net worth north of $3 million. He wears jeans and polo shirts. He drives a paid-off SUV. He tips well at restaurants but never makes a scene about it. If you met him at a barbecue, you would assume he is a mid-level manager somewhere with a decent retirement account. You would be wrong by about $2.7 million, and he would be perfectly happy with your miscalculation. Broke Brian has a net worth of about $40,000, most of it tied up in a car he cannot really afford. But he wears designer brands, posts his meals at expensive restaurants, and makes sure everyone at the office knows he just got back from a trip to Dubai. He is performing wealth at the expense of building it. Every dollar he spends on the appearance of success is a dollar that cannot compound into actual success. The wealthiest people you know have optimized for one thing that Broke Brian will never understand. They have optimized for freedom. The freedom to walk away from a bad deal. The freedom to take a year off. The freedom to help their kids without going into debt. The freedom to handle a financial emergency without losing sleep. And the cost of that freedom is simple. Nobody gets to know about it. That is the trade. And for people who have actually built wealth, it is not even a difficult one.